It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. Yeah, she from a small town, pecan brown, holding it down. On the way to college, dodging them clowns, fixing the crown. Yeah, off kilter but beautiful with no filters or lip fillers, making them girls jealous. But really, she simple, ain't thinking about it. She don't see what's popping, stick to herself, spiritually vibing. Her weakness is kindness, open to meeting people, but she don't see intention. She been sheltered, so when she gain the trust, believe in anything you tell her. Like a street smarts, natural sweetheart, swept off her feet by some nigga that call herself unique. They start buying and spending more time together through cuffing weather. She wet whatever. He got a hold of her hidden treasure. Next thing you know, she pregnant, stomach bulging. Homie losing composure through the term. This nigga barely sober. She insecure about his whereabouts. He quit the warehouse. She ain't hear from dude in days. Sleeping on his friend's couch. That's what he told her. But he's selling dope, trying to buy some baby coats. Caught up in the life, got arrested. Now she left the coat. Damn. Black queen in a vacant castle. It's like having a passport with nowhere to travel. Yeah. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well this Saturday evening. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about Roc Nation artist Victory Boyd. Now, if this is your first time hearing the name Victory Boyd, no surprise here, because when I came across this story, it was mine as well. But apparently she is a singer, songwriter, and gospel artist up under the Roc Nation mantle. She's managed by them. And she has issued a copyright infringement lawsuit against Travis Scott, SZA, and Future for their song Telekinesis, which was, I believe, featured on Travis Scott's last album. Okay? And basically, some wires have gotten crossed. There was a point in time where she's worked with Kanye West in terms of Sunday service. There was times where she's been called into the studio to work with Kanye on his music. And apparently there was a bit of a, I guess, musical chairs in which her music was passed around. She was supposed to be working on projects for Kanye specifically, but then the music ended up being passed around and landed with Travis Scott. He then used and manipulated parts of her music to create this Telekinesis song, and now she's ready to cash in. And she says it's not just about the money, but it's also about the fact that she made this particular music for God. Because again, she is a gospel artist. And remember, Kanye went through a gospel phase with the whole Sunday service movement, the whole Jesus is King album and all of that stuff. So this was made at a time where Kanye was on his heavy Christianity vibes. She was already a Christian. She made this stuff to glorify God. And then it was taken and manipulated by Travis Scott at a later time. We're going to get into all the specifics. I actually have the lawsuit to where I could go into get everything. She has the filing of her copyright, which was already registered by the time Travis Scott got to it. So it does seem that she has a pretty strong case. And she's got a video actually showing visual proof of her working with Kanye on this music. And we're going to get into all of it. All right. So this is Miss Victory Boyd's lawsuit up against Travis Scott, Cactus Jack Records, Sony Epic Records, Audemars Piguet, The Watch Company, Solana Rowe, a.k.a. SZA, Nevadius, Wilburn, a.k.a. Future, Jamal Gwynn, Jahan Sweet, and some other people. I find it interesting that Kanye's not in here, but, you know, let's see what we have. So plaintiff Victory Boyd and the Songs of Glory through their attorney Keith White, PLLC, complaining of the defendants, Jaquez Berman Webster, of course, that's Travis Scott. This is the name of the defendants. Let's get to the summary. So they say this is a case of copyright infringement against internationally famous and acclaimed artist Jaquez Berman Webster II, professionally known as Travis Scott, his record labels, publishers, producers, songwriters, and his brand partner Audemars Piguet. The suit seeks actual damages incurred by plaintiffs, plus disgorgement of each of the defendants' profits, including touring, merchandise, and any other additional profits received from their hit song entitled Telekinesis. So she's going after the touring money, the merchandise, and the streaming profits, and of course, any licensing money as well that's been received on the heels of them taking her music, right? As a result of the copying of plaintiff's song, Like the Way It Sounds, with accompanying lyrics, or in the alternative, if plaintiffs elect to seek statutory damages. The suit also seeks recovery of plaintiffs' expenses, including reasonable attorney fees due to the willful and intentional nature of the infringement and the other circumstances alleged herein. Plaintiffs request other ancillary relief in the form of an injunction, a constructive trust imposed over the wrongfully made profits, and an accounting as to the profits earned by each of the defendants from the infringement. Now, what it seems to me is that she was working with Kanye. They were bouncing some ideas, workshopping some stuff, and it seems that she, as a smart artist, the work that she was coming up with, she trademarked. Not trademarked, but she copyrighted. Okay. So that would give her ownership of all of her words and all of that stuff. So if it does get used, it was basically a form of protection in case Kanye were to use it. You know, she would have her copyrights filed so that he would have to include her for anything of hers that he used. And it looks like the original song that she worked on with Kanye never came out, never came to fruition. So I'm guessing maybe Travis Scott went to Kanye and said, yo, are you using that record? He said no. He decided to remake it, repurpose it, add SZA, add Future. And it went from something that maybe she felt was glorifying God to something else, talking about, loose women and all type of stuff once you add Future to the fold. So I think there's a two-pronged situation here where she never gave express clearance for this to be used with her words and melodies, and also that she may not like the messaging of the new song that was produced. Okay, gonna keep going. Plaintiff Victory Boyd is a singer-songwriter and owner of Plaintiff Songs of Glory. Boyd is a recording artist signed to Roc Nation Records, the record company founded by legendary musician, entrepreneur, and philanthropist Sean Carter, professionally known as Jay-Z. Plaintiffs commenced this action to enjoin defendants from future infringement of plaintiffs' duly copyrighted and original work and musical composition entitled Like the Way It Sounds, published in November of 2019. B, recover damages arising from defendants' infringement of plaintiffs' copyright in the original work, and seek other declaratory relief. The defendants are all active participants in the writing, production, publishing, profiting, and international broadcasting of a derivative musical composition and audiovisual work entitled Telekinesis, which was first published by defendants on July 25, 2023. This infringing work is based on, embodies, and is substantially similar to plaintiff's copyrighted original work. Defendant Audemars Piguet is a watch designer and manufacturer that hip-hop musicians celebrate as a luxury brand. Defendant Audemars Piguet specifically exploited the infringing work in a major advertising campaign after requesting permission from the plaintiff and being declined. So she's also saying that this watch company, they used her song or used pieces of the song that she originally created in a massive advertising campaign, right? Which would typically bring in lots of money. They reached out to her requesting permission. She declined and they used it anyway. Which I would not be surprised if they used Travis Scott's song, and because they got permission from him and his label and his publishers and probably SZA, Future, etc., But she was probably the one that said no, and they were like, ah, she's a minor piece of this anyway. We don't even know what all she did. And they moved forward. Okay? I'm going to skip past some of this and just try to stick to the allegations that are being spoken of in here, because this is just giving you information about the defendants and everybody that's involved, which we already know who all these people are. Okay, factual background. In November of 2019, plaintiff wrote the lyrics, then completed and published a demo entitled Like the Way It Sounds. In November of 2019, plaintiff shared the original work with Kanye West. In November of 2019, after plaintiff created the original work, plaintiff recorded the original work in a voice note and shared the original work with Kanye West. Upon information and belief, Kanye West planned to release a song entitled Future Bounce, then renamed Future Sounds. And anyone that's actually, a big fan of Kanye West, you probably have heard this Future Bounce, Future Sounds demo circulating throughout YouTube and other platforms. At one point, it was finally renamed Ultrasounds. All versions of these renamed songs were based on and copied the plaintiff's original work. Okay? In 2021, Kanye West released his album Donda, but did not release Future Bounce, Future Sounds, or Ultrasounds. So none of those three versions were released. The original work is copyrighted and registered with the Library of Congress under registration number SR 986420. So she's got her copyright registration number. This is what a lot of artists that come out and do these copyright infringement suits don't have. So she's already ahead of the game. Plaintiff is the lawful proprietor of all rights, title, and interest in and to the copyrighted original work. The substantial, salient, and original aspects of the original work copyrightable under the Act and the laws of the United States are as follows. The words, I can see the future is looking like we level through the sky. I can't wait to live in glory of eternal paradise. Won't you wash away my sins and write my name inside the book of life? Might as well turn up now. He gonna pop up unannounced. Hear the trumpets. Do you like the way it sounds, right? And if you know about hearing the trumpets, that means this when you die, right? So this is like about being ready to wash away your sins, right? Write your name in the book of life. Turn up now. Live life in the moment because God gonna pop up unannounced. And do you like the way the trumpet sounds? So it's kind of like a song about living joyful, living for God up until that last moment. The words, down payment, all in my account, gonna wear the crown, Holy Ghost falling on the crowds. We're gonna see him coming in the clouds. Do you like the way it sounds? Choir singing so loud. Caping Jesus, I'm sold out. Miracles wash away the doubts. Drumline drops. Do you like the way it sounds? Sang in a specific melody created by plaintiffs. So they changed some of the words, but they kept the melody. I know a lot of people don't understand how important melody is, but even if you take somebody's melody or arrangement and you change the words, you can still be subject to copyright infringement in terms of like interpolation rather than like sampling or saying exactly what you wrote down. So you're always at risk. The substantial, salient, and original aspects of the original work referenced in paragraph 28 AD shall herein be referenced as plaintiff's lyrics. Upon information and belief, Kanye West played the original work for Scott. Plaintiff then left the original work in a studio in Wyoming. Upon information and belief, Scott gained access to the studio plaintiff left the original work in and began creating the infringing work off of the original work. Upon information and belief, in May of 2023, Scott shared the original work with SZA and Future and requested that they collaborate in creating the infringing work. Upon information and belief, in May of 2023, Scott, SZA, and Future agreed to create the infringing work by copying plaintiff's original work. Upon information and belief, Scott, SZA, and Future intentionally and willfully copied plaintiff's original work, specifically plaintiff's lyrics and melody, when they created the infringing work in May of 2023. Now, what I will say here is that I don't know if SZA and Future intentionally and willfully copied her work. That part I will state, because if they don't know that the original work or whatever Travis Scott is bringing to them came from what you created, then I can't say that they intentionally and willfully copied it, because they were going off of what he presented to them and possibly what he was passing off as his own. Or maybe he said, this is something I was working on with Kanye. Kanye didn't want it, so now we're going to redo it, right? But of course, Miss Victory, she's not a celebrity. She's not a big time act. She has success in the music industry. She's got her own stuff going on, but she's not to their level. So I highly doubt that Travis Scott informed them, yo, this is this girl Victory's song. We finna steal it. We finna redo it. We finna run this mother up. That part I don't know, and I kind of doubt. On July 28, 2023, the defendants commercially released the infringing work entitled Telekinesis. Upon information and belief in 2023, Scott, SZA, Future, and all defendants intentionally and willfully copied plaintiff's original work, specifically plaintiff's lyrics, when they commercially released the infringing work. On July 28, 2023, when the defendants commercially released the infringing work, the defendants credited plaintiff as a co-writer in the metadata provided to digital platforms. So they did try to give her some credit here. Unaware that her original work was copied and commercially released by defendants, plaintiff planned to finish working on her original work and commercially release it through her recording agreement with Roc Nation. All right, so this is where things get interesting, right? So she worked on this music on her own. She gave the recording to Kanye. This song was being workshopped in the studio, right? It was made specifically for Kanye. He then puts out his album that they were working on at the time, Donda. It does not land on there. So then she comes to the idea, okay, I'm working on an album. I'm gonna release that song that I wrote for Kanye myself, right? Now it may not have been the same exact work because there was an underlying beat that she didn't produce, but she was probably going to take those lyrics and put them over new production and make a totally new song out of it. But unfortunately, she was not aware that Travis Scott went on to create this other version of the song with SZA and Future, right? Because she's not being kept in the loop of everywhere that this song is going in terms of whose hands are passing it around, who's hearing it, who's doing what. She's going on with her life. She ain't been around Kanye probably since. So all of this does make sense. In November 2023, AP, aware that the infringing work was a copy of the original work, contacted plaintiff to obtain her permission to commercially exploit the infringing work. Now I find that interesting. They released the song in July, but then they reached out to her for permission in November. So you gonna reach out to me, what, 5-6 months later, damn near? 4-5 months later? However, with no communication from any of the other defendants on an agreement and with no permission to use plaintiff's original work, plaintiff declined to give permission to AP to use the infringing work. Okay, so this is Audemars. They wanted to use it in that campaign a few months later. She said no, right? And she never said that she was contacted about this credit that they gave her in the metadata, which means that she never got the opportunity to negotiate the credit that she wanted and the amount of percentage that would have been necessary to compensate her if she would have even wanted the song to be included anyway, right? Based on the type of music she makes and the type of music they make, it's vastly different. Now you could say, why is she working with Kanye? He's this, that, and he's, and that all makes sense. But again, Kanye did go through a very heavy, I'm making gospel music phase, in which that was the phase in which she worked with him. On December 1st, 2023, plaintiff's publishing administrator, Cobalt Publishing, under the direction of the plaintiff, declined to give AP permission because the defendant was never granted permission to use the original work in creating or exploiting the infringing work. So her publishing company, Cobalt, reached out to AP and say, hey, what y'all doing? On December 1st, plaintiff's representative gave all defendants notice that plaintiff objected to the planned broadcast of the infringing work. On December 4th, the defendants and AP partnered to publish and commercially release an advertising campaign broadcasting infringing work over her objection. She reaches out on the 1st. Just a few days later, they launch it anyway. The infringing work copies various elements of the original work, including but not limited to the lyrics. Thus, plaintiff brings this action for copyright infringement under 17 U.S.C. 101-501, arising from the defendant's unauthorized reproduction, distribution, and/or public performance of the infringing composition. As a result, every copy of each of the various versions of the infringing work infringe the original work, as do any download, streams, or music videos of Telekinesis. And once again, Telekinesis is off a very successful album from Travis Scott, which means if she wins this, there's going to be a lot of money to be made. Likewise, every time Scott, SZA, or Future perform Telekinesis in concert, defendants have infringed the copyright of plaintiff's original work upon information and belief, including Setlist.fm. And Setlist, of course, is a company where you can obtain artists' touring information. Scott has performed Telekinesis at least 45 times since July 27, 2023, and at least 15 times since December 12th, 2023. Remember, he was just on a big tour, right? So that's about 60 shows. Though still early in its release, the infringing work has been certified platinum in several territories throughout the world. It continues to exist in a successful single on music streaming, download, and sales platforms. The infringing work copies the original work, as the lyrics to the infringing work are as follows. Right? We've already went through these lyrics. Let me see if there's anything else that would be pertinent. Boom, boom, boom. I ain't gonna lie, I would have thrown Kanye ass in this too, but he be missing in action. So all of this is pretty much restating what we've already talked about. They just got to put this in, official terms for the court. Anything else? Whoa, what's this? The plaintiff respectfully requests this court to enter a judgment against the defendants for their willful writing, producing, and broadcasting in theaters a derivative work entitled Telekinesis, the infringing work, which is substantially similar to plaintiff's original work, which resulted in and continues to result in injuries to the plaintiff. This is what she requests from the court. She wants them to issue a preliminary and permanent injunction against the defendants and all others in active concert or participation with defendants from further broadcasts of the infringing work and other infringement on plaintiff's protective copyright work, meaning that she don't want Travis Scott to be performing this song no more. Okay? Because SZA and Future most likely ain't going to be performing this song on their concerts. She wants the defendants to recall and destroy all copies of the infringing work or any other derivatives in whatever form they may exist, or the defendants to pay plaintiff an amount to be determined at trial and actual damages and profits plus interest pursuant to U.S. Code to 17 U.S. Code 504B, the exact amount to be determined at trial. Order defendants to pay plaintiff not less than $750 or more than $30,000 per broadcast of the infringing work as damages pursuant to 17 USC 504C1. Right? So she wants her money from every time that campaign broadcast without her permission. Order defendants to pay plaintiff the sum of $150,000 per broadcast of the infringing work as additional statutory damages. Order defendants to pay plaintiff both the cost of this action and the reasonable attorney fees incurred by plaintiff in prosecuting this action. And this is her copyright documentation to show proof that she registered this before any of this ever took place. Okay. So here we've got the thing. Registration, blah, da, 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 da. December 12, 2023. That's a little late. Got to be honest here. She says that she originally created it in 2019. Date of publication was in 2023. What's that, July 28th? So I think that's gonna be part that kind of hurts her, is that it took so long for you. I thought she had copyrighted this ahead of time. Now I'm looking at this and it shows that you copyrighted this after everything took place. You did the copyright after the campaign. You did the copyright after the album came out. But what you do have is the fact that they included you in the credits. So clearly it had to be from another time period. And again, she has a video detailing her involvement with Kanye where this was created.
I'm suing some of the largest names in music, and here's the story of how come. In 2019, I moved to a cabin in the mountains of Cody, Wyoming on a whim to write music for Ye. I wrote probably 100 songs, and maybe 5 of them have seen the light of day. I gave my very best effort to every individual word, line, and cadence, sometimes spending hours crafting just one line. After a certain point of seeing my carefully crafted work be scrapped and truncated, I decided that I no longer am writing songs for Ye, but rather I'm writing songs for Jesus. I even climbed to the top of this rock and spent a day writing a song to the Lord. With all the same effort and meticulous attention to detail that I put towards creating work that would be pleasing to Ye, I decided to switch my focal point and apply the same effort towards creating works of art that would be pleasing to my Lord Jesus. And once I did that, suddenly I had assurance that my work was not in vain. And even if another soul never heard what I created, I knew that God did, and that He treasured each and every word that I wrote for Him. I wrote a couple versions of a song called Future Bounce. The intention was that this song describes a house party in heaven. When we all make it to heaven, we're going to be doing this dance called the Future Bounce. That was the original idea. Anyways, in November 2019, which was 1 month after finishing and releasing the hit album Jesus is King, of which I wrote lyrics for several of the songs, Ye wanted to immediately create more gospel music, and so I got back to work. I happened to film myself recording a snippet of this version of Future Bounce.
Do you like the way it sounds? Hear the bass playing so loud. Faith in Jesus, I'm sold out. Miracles wash away the doubts.
Now y'all see, November 17th, 2019, she videoed herself. So this probably will stand in court. Even though the copyright filing was a little bit late, submitting this, you have it time stamped. I don't know. It's going to get interesting.
Drumline drops, do you like the way it sounds? Heaven raining down, pouring all over the crowd. All my sins I renounce, cause I'm gonna see the future of the bounce. Hear the trumpets playing loud, faith in Jesus, I'm sold out. Miracles wash away the doubts, he can show up unannounced. Do you like the way it sounds?
It was this later version, however, that I created that Travis Scott stole.
Now, because motherfuckers is throwing out goddamn copyright strikes and shit like that on YouTube, we gonna y'all got enough of that. Y'all heard her do that, because I think that beat and all that shit might be on a Travis Scott album. We're gonna be very careful. We're gonna have to tread real lightly with these motherfuckers. But y'all can see that she laid down these ideas.
Term stolen because this is how the dictionary defines the word. Suddenly, 4 years after creating it, I find a distorted version of my work in a song called Telekinesis. 3 times in this song, Travis Scott repeats the chorus that I wrote.
I can see your future. I can't wait to live in glory and eternal glory.
Did anyone ask me or consider to inquire of my participation in this song? My answer would have been no. I wrote this song for God, and to the extent that Ye was working for God, I was working for Ye. Travis, on the other hand, never had this intent, which you can see when you read the lyrics to Telekinesis. I never would have consented to being associated and to help make a hit song that spreads this message.
We're gonna go back to them lyrics. Give me a second. So the lyrics say, used to want a fucking R&B bitch, then the shit happened. Used to want to be rich, then it finally happened. Thought it'd make me happy. I could have took the path, then I could have went out sad. Street stepped in and raised me, but I ain't have my daddy. Niggas trying to clone me, run off with my swag. For selling cocoa, got Chanel on my jacket. Shawty give me mop with the less. It don't last. Taking more drugs, all alone in a mansion. Walking around tweaking with the yop in my hands. Just another broke hoe just reading for the bands. And I know I'm due for $1 billion advance. I can see the future. I can see the future. Right? So she's saying she don't co-sign these lyrics. That's not the type of song she intended to make when she was working with Ye at the time. So she's highly offended that it was taken and flipped into something else. Okay? Just want to be clear on these things.
And to help make a hit song that spreads this message. So they had to steal my work if they wanted to use it, because permission simply would not have been granted. Included in my lawsuit is also Swiss watch company Audemars Piguet, because while they did ask me for permission to use my work in their brand partnership with Travis Scott, I told them no. And in December of 2023, they published my work in collaboration with Travis Scott in a major commercial campaign anyway. A multi-million-dollar partnership. Again, let's go back to the definition of stealing. So now we have all these layers of violations against me from multi-billion-dollar institutions. I said it before and I'll say it again. The story of David and Goliath repeats itself.
All right, we ain't gonna keep playing this shit due to the copyright issue, because y'all doing a nice job with the presentation, but it ain't enough for me to risk my channel, man. These motherfuckers got me on the hook. But y'all get the gist of what's going on. And as you can see here, it says, it's not about the money, it's about reclaiming God's property. Jesus is king. Also, welcome to all of the Travis Scott fans harassing me on my posts. May you find something on this journey of trying to tear me down that profoundly impacts your life with the love of God. Jesus loves you so deeply, more than you can imagine. So as you can see here, ever since this information has broken on the news, Travis Scott fans have been hitting her up, coming to her page, harassing her, discrediting her, calling her names, spreading all types of hate. And she says, hey, I'm not even against y'all. Welcome here. Whatever led y'all here, I hope on your way out or whatever journey you're on before you leave here, you leave with the love of God. So she's not even attacking with malice. She just wants to get what she's owed because her creation has been taken and it's been distorted and perverted, to be honest. And again, she did not have negotiation power to determine whether or not they could use it in the first place. They tried to clean it up by giving her some percentage, but you can't just give somebody whatever percentage you want to give them when you take their work. You have to have a conversation with them to say, do you want this to be used? Yes or no. They have to give you an answer. And if they say yes, then y'all also have to go through a negotiation process to state how much that person believes they're entitled to, if any. You know what I'm saying? And that process was skipped out on. So I think I got to say she's in the right. And she's got the video proof with the date timestamped as to when she created this, originally for Kanye, never for Travis Scott. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Got to be honest. And just for further context, this is not the first time that Travis Scott has been accused of stealing other people's work. For those of y'all that don't remember, Victoria Monet came out a couple years ago and talked about how Travis Scott was stealing work. There's a song called Sin City off of the Good Music Kanye West Cruel Summer album that was also stolen while Travis Scott was living with Victoria Monet. At the time she was with Tommy Brown. They were still in a relationship. And Travis Scott, I guess he had moved to LA. And he didn't have nowhere to go, so he was living with them. And then he ended up stealing work off of their laptop and creating music, taking credit for it. Here's a piece of Victoria Monet talking about this. So they say, you've done a lot of work for other artists outside of Ariana. You have a credit on Sin City off of the Cruel Summer album. How did that come about? She says, you really want to know? Interviewer says, I do. She says, funny story. Travis Scott, when he first moved to LA, he was living with me and Tommy on our couch. So basically, Travis Scott took files from Tommy Brown and took them to Kanye and said he produced them and it was on video. He took a song I had written a hook to and took it to Tiana Taylor for her to do and change a little bit. So Tommy ended up finding out because the footage was on his hard drive or something. I can't remember, but he saw him in the studio trying to act like he made the beat. They say that's crazy. She says the industry has its good and bad parts. I know at his core he's a good person. He just wanted to win, but that's what happened. A misunderstanding of him taking things to Kanye that he didn't really do. And although she's giving him the benefit of the doubt to say that, you know, he was just hungry at the time, seems like he's still doing it even on his latest album. And this is just another testament to the creators, the artists, songwriters, etc. out there. Be vigilant with your work. She said something about a David and Goliath situation, but you can't be afraid to be the David out here, even though you may not have the financial backing. You may not have a Rock Nation behind you, you know, to help you navigate these things. You still got to advocate on behalf of yourself, your work, your creations, and not letting people just stomp all over you and do whatever they want to do with your stuff. All right. And of course, we've had multiple conversations about copyright infringement on my channel. Sometimes I side with the artist. Sometimes I side with, you know, this doesn't look right to me. This looks like a fake claim. This don't look like no fake claim. She has footage of her out in Wyoming working with Kanye, in the studio with Kanye. We don't even see Travis Scott in the footage. So it is what it is. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rags. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.